What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we'll be in flight gear, completing one of the longest flights I will be ever doing. And this will be a flight from Dallas Fort Worth International all the way to Kansai International Airport in Osaka, Japan. This will cover over 6,400 miles of territory and ocean and pretty much anything, any geography, really. We'll be doing it in the world's largest twin engine airliner, the Boeing 777-300ER. And oh, the terminal lights just turned off. I guess it's almost daytime. And yes, it is currently 7:25 in Dallas time. And would you look at the takeoff? That's pretty cool. So yes, I do have AI traffic enabled, but we'll get into more about how ATC, which is non-existent, about how that works later on. But first, let us get into the cockpit right here, and I will meet you guys right there. So we are in the cockpit now. You can see everything's cold and dark. Ignore what's happening in front of you. The terminal building is not generated correctly. But just pretend there's, sanity going on in front of us. But within the cockpit, it's actually designed pretty well. It's pretty realistic. But first things first, let's get some action going because everything's, black and dark here. So we're gonna go up to the overhead and press our battery on switch. There we go. And then we'll turn on our APU. So I believe our APU started. There we go. There's that distinctive hum. And next up, we'll go and select our window heat options. So we'll turn on window heat so it won't frost over when we're cruising up there. And we'll turn our ADRU on. And our emergency light switch will be armed. So that'll be everything we'll do in the overhead. Actually, we need to turn our logo and wing lights on. And we'll turn no smoking on to auto. Yeah, I'll just turn it on. So next thing we're going to do is come down here and we're going to, oh, don't want to do that. Don't want to mess with the vertical speed yet. Anyways, we'll zoom in and we'll hold this GPWS inhibit testing thing for 10 seconds. So let's just do that. It's going. You'll hear something happen.
Glide slope.
There we go.
Pull up. Sync
It's
rate.
siphoning through all
Pull
the
up.
options.
Terrain.
And that should be
Pull
it.
up. Don't
Now
think.
we'll
Too
just let
low.
it
Terrain.
do its thing.
Too low. Here. Too
Coming
low.
down
Flat.
here,
Too low. Terrain. Glide slope. Bank
now
minimum.
what we're going to do
Minimum
is we're going to
20,
program our
500,
FMC.
1,000,
So first we're
500,
going to go to our
400,
route section. We'll
300,
be
200,
departing
100, 50,
from
40, 30, 20, 10. Too
KDFW.
low. Terrain.
So that's Dallas Fort Worth. And stand by 1 second. I will see which runway is not active. Alright, so we will go with, I guess, 36 left. That'll be our departing runway for today. Now, the funny thing with flight gear is I'm flying single player right now because I couldn't really get the multiplayer networking thing to work. And there's no ATC, well, at least I couldn't get ATC to work properly in single player. So actually, let me just continue our flow here. So there's Kansai International's code. But anyways, so what we're looking at here is we have to select our own runway, and the you can see the arriving aircraft and the departing aircraft, they're all pretty much brain dead. They'll take over us. They'll just run over us whenever they want. So we really have to worry, like basically like driving on a highway with a car. You just have to practice defensive driving, or I guess defensive passing. You'll see what I mean later. But let me finish the rest of this stuff. Quick side note: looking out the window, the traffic apparently decided to switch the runways, just like I guess the AGA's information changed or whatever. But they switched it to they're departing the opposite side of the field now. So we're now having to go 18 right. So just change that. Yeah, sometimes without ATC going on, you just have to work around the traffic if you want realism. But that's all we can do for now. Alright, there you go. We're done programming. Now we just hit that EXEC. And let's look at so our current weight looking good. and our thrust. So I'm gonna leave it at takeoff because here the middle number is our rotation speed. First number will be our V1 speed. So that'll be important for uh, here, our autopilot, because we're gonna have to program this later. But for now, what we're gonna need is we're gonna definitely, well, definitely we're gonna take off this for now, and then we're going to set our cruising altitude. Today we will be going 33, actually 32,000 feet. And then what we're going to do is we are going to press LNAV and arm our auto throttle. So yeah, I think that will be it. Oh, and also we have fuel in center, which means now it is time to go back to the overhead and look at our hydraulics. So we have turn all of this on, turn all of this to auto. There we go. And then we will turn on our fuel pumps, including center, because we will be flying pretty long today. So we definitely need that center tank for extra fuel support. And finally, I guess now we're going to turn on our seatbelt signs because passengers should be ready and boarded by now. Alright, all passengers have loaded and we've disconnected everything. We are max tanker, so our fuel is pretty much the top of, basically we filled the top of the brim of the fuel tank. So now what we're going to do is we're going to initialize flight, press that, and then we are going to release parking brakes. There we go. Pushback is initiated. Now, while that's happening, coming down here, we'll set our transponder accordingly. And finally, we will start engines. So start engine number 1. There we go. We'll watch. Hopefully you guys can see. We will watch here. Oh my god, the zoom functions wild in here. So as this reaches 20, we will, there we go, press the fuel control, and then second one. There we go. And as that reaches 20, we will also press the right fuel level control. So just wait for a second, and there we go. Now, make sure everything's stabilized. Oh, you can see a person that's going up there. Anyway, so there we go. Pushback complete. Now what we're going to do is it'll automatically turn off. There we go. We'll turn our APU off, and our APU gen switch will also be off. Now what we're going to do is turn on beacon and nav lights. So so we're available. And would you look at that? Departing American Airlines. Oh, parallel departures. That is cool. Okay, if only they were this coordinated when working with me. Anyways, let's turn on our flight monitor so we can see our weight and our fuel and the temperature and basically a lot of stuff. So now we are going to turn on taxi lights, and I'm going to bring up the heads-up display and we'll do a flight controls check. So full up, full down, full left, full right, if I can get there. There we go. And yeah, so we're done with the flight controls check. Down here we can see it's a bit hard to see for you guys, but that is 181, I believe. Yep, 181 for our rotation speed. So what I like to do is I like to set our climb speed to plus 100 knots. So rotation speed plus 100. That way it won't stall out and we have a pretty nice rate of climb. So we'll set it to 281. Alright, we are done with everything. Now let's roll. So first things first, we are going to look at our taxi. So we're going to continue taxiing on this. I believe this is golf. So let's try to cross runway 18 left. So on golf 8. So I believe that's golf 8 right there. So let's start. Here we go. Just give it a little bit of throttle so we don't rotate on taxiway. And let's give it a little bit more. We're a bit heavy because we have all that fuel. So actually, we're gonna go with golf 8 right here. Almost missed it, but we have a pretty good turning radius. So there we go, that's golf 8. We'll hold short because definitely there are departing airplanes. And yeah, I gotta concentrate because I'm not the best narrator when it comes to these things. So there's that departing aircraft. Alright, let's hold short here. Again, ATC will have taken care of all of this for us, but there is no ATC. And these aircraft are kind of brain dead because they don't care if there's stuff on the runway. They will just where do we go now? So we gotta cross this runway. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. I'm looking at the airport charts, like the official airport charts. All of this is wrong. So whoever designed this flight gear airport, they didn't do it correctly because there's supposed to be a taxiway up ahead, like crossing that, but there's grass. So we have to again work our way around that. Let me see, is that aircraft? Is it? Oh, it's waiting for that to cross. Okay, so once this aircraft departs, we'll have to borrow the runway for a second because we have to, I guess, is that Whiskey Kilo, that taxiway? We gotta cross over. But yeah, I didn't know. I expected here to be a crossing point, but apparently not. So, well, see you guys then. All right. Just looked over there for a few minutes. That aircraft is sitting there for a pretty long time. So we will do a quick transition to Foxtrot 2, which is that right taxiway right in front of us. So we're gonna do it pretty quick. Hopefully, he doesn't go before us. Let's do it really quick. There's going to be a lot of close calls being flight here, especially when you're flying single player with the AI traffic, because they do not care, like FAA group. Anyways, so we will quickly, we might even have to, okay, this is kind of scary, not going right. Okay, there we go. Alright, we've made it. Back to safety. I don't think, is that, yeah, I think, you see, the AI is broken. So we'll come back down here. I believe here's a crossing point. Yep, that's Whiskey Kilo, which is the actual crossing point to the other side. So we will turn left on Whiskey Kilo, and you know, if I really don't know what the AI is thinking here, because it's not moving. Traffic's not moving, so we will move. We will get out. Yeah, I believe he's not going, so let's go. So quickly we will cross this active runway with him. I guess he's maybe waiting for us. But just as I say that, I swear, just as I say that, he's going to start rolling. So, yeah, let's avoid that from happening. Alright, we've made it to the other side. So we will turn right here. Alright. So far so good. This has been a pretty lucky day today, considering with this much aircraft movement going on the ground. This is pretty rare that we haven't been hit yet. But fingers crossed. But yeah, this will be a pretty long taxi on Echo, I guess. So we'll see you then. Alright, we're rolling up to the end of the field here. So you can see to our right side, I really can't move my mouse currently, but there's that aircraft still waiting, I guess, something for departure. But yeah, they really be letting anyone having a pilot's license these days. That aircraft is not moving. This is straight up just like car traffic. That's why I'm saying with flight gear, without any ATC like VATSIM's for, you know, structure like people. This is like barbarians out here. So we really have to be on our toes here. But we are approaching our whole short line, and yeah, so we will hold short here because we do have some things to take care of before we actually start rolling on the runway. First things first, we will have to explain some things. Well, actually, I guess I'll have to. For new people here, so I think this is the whole short line, but is there another one? I think there's another one up there. Let's just go to that one. Yeah. So basically, there is this clock right here. So down here, you can see it's just changed the 12:52 UTC time. So that's what's going on there. But below it, there's kind of like a stopwatch timer, and that is our air time. So as soon as the wheels are off the ground, it begins counting all the way until we touch down in Osaka. So that will show you that we're not really faking this thing, because if we're doing time warp or stuff like that, well, I think time warp also advances the time, but time warp is really laggy and the universe literally crashes because of, I guess, the terrain generation. So anyways, we'll turn on strobe light and our landing light, and down here we really have to do all brake RTO just in case some idiot decides to cross the runway as we're taking off. And finally, we will set our transponder and yeah, let's take the field. But as I was saying, people have said, you know, why don't you just do time warp, because that'll take care of things pretty easily. But again, time warp is pretty laggy on my system, and yeah, so time warp out of the question. As with me cutting and then, you know, starting a new flight, well, I can't really fake that, because again, that stopwatch down there will show the wheels up to wheels down time, and you'll see it happening right now. But let's take the field and begin rolling, because we're downing the ground here at Dallas Fort Worth for about 30 minutes now due to that weird traffic situation. But so runway 18 right verified. Let's just line ourselves up, and we will begin rolling. Let's go. Oh, flash. Okay, this is good. we will just... And there's also a plane coming. Reverse thrust. Okay, I'm not making... This is not safe right now. Do you see that plane? Holy moly. All brake coming clutch. Okay. Forgot the flaps. That was my bad. But that... Was that a CRJ or an ERJ or something like that? I don't know. My plane now is pretty rusty, but... That just crossed the runway right as we're about to roll. So I guess 2 birds with 1 stone. Well, we'll have to try this again. But first, flaps. We will set our flaps down to 1.5. I can't believe we forgot flaps. That is a rookie mistake. I guess I was too busy talking to the camera. But actually, let's turn our landing lights off. So yeah, that was a rejected takeoff for you guys. Pretty neat. I haven't really done that in a long time, but that'll be pretty embarrassing to do a rejected takeoff because of flaps. But with that CRJ taxiing like a deer in headlights, that was that was something else. But I told you, these flight gear AI traffic, they're not really the brightest. But hopefully now, let's try to get out here as fast as possible. I don't really want to do that all over again. So, anyways, meet you back at the starting line. All right, we're back to where we started. This time, if I'm not mistaken, we should have everything needed for takeoff, including flaps. But that was a pretty dumb mistake on my end. However, if there's any traffic, crossing the active runway, I really can't guarantee that. But you can say I'm trying to do max realism here. I don't want to just taxi over them. Yeah. We want to be as realistic as possible with what we have. So let's just get out of here. Again, runway verify, runway right. And as soon as we line up, we will spin her up. Alright. Thrust set. Here we go. We're doing it for real this time. 80 knots cross check. So far so good. Continuing. Ooh, 11 knot headwind, so that'll be good for us. Positive rate, gears coming up. Alright. And then engage autopilot. Whoa, that's a pretty steep climb for us. Alright, let's ease our vertical speed down to 2,000. So 2,000 feet per minute. That way it will allow our little airspeed to climb up to our desired value. So yeah, it's slowly climbing. That's what we want. But yeah, look at the view. It's starting to get pretty cool up here. Let's bump it down to 1900 just to climb a bit faster. Because I want to take off flaps once we reach around 210. But we have to get there first. So, wow, we're in the air. Taxiing lights off. And everything else so far so good. Going down to 1800 because it's kind of slower than I thought. We are max taper, so that should affect us pretty significantly, but we will great. Now we'll just switch the speed to our GPS location. We don't need that anymore. climbing up there slowly but surely. But oh, yeah. So you can see our timer right here has started. So now we're 1 minute into our flight, and we'll retract our flaps. There we go. Flaps are retracted. Look at that view. So I think since we're departing southbound, that will over here. That's Fort Worth. So and there's that airspeed load indicator because again I took the flaps out. But we will quickly chase that so that we'll be fine again. So here's a little thing. Once we get close to this 281 airspeed, so we'll look at that. If it's hard to look down here, we can look at the heads-up display. We will press this button here, so that way it will maintain our airspeed as we're climbing, so we won't stall trying to reach 32,000 feet. But we're getting close. You can see we're climbing. Our airspeed's climbing. Our altitude's climbing. Everything's looking good so far. I'm telling you, this is a lot of multitasking going on. So even me, I've been reduced down to my speech. Yeah, you see, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just looking. Okay, here we go. So we will press this, turn off auto throttle, and full speed ahead. Now, there's a reason why I turned off our auto throttle, because I like to do something nifty. I believe that will save our passengers quite a bit of time. I'll get into that later on once we reach cruising altitude, because yeah, so basically I don't really like to cruise at Mach 0.84. I like to cruise at my own speed, if you know what I mean. And you'll see what that means later on. But I like to keep my throttle to max throttle, because we really have, like, fuel doesn't really cost money in flight here, so fuel efficiency doesn't matter to us. Time is what matters to us. Time is the essence. And since I'm doing this in real time, I really would prefer to finish this quicker than expected. But I'll explain more about that later on. But look at that. That's Fort Worth to our left side. And actually, we can go do a little external view out here. But actually, let's reach 10,000 feet for now. Oh, there we go. 10,000 feet. You can see passenger signs off, landing lights off, and we will. Yeah, look at that external view. Pretty good morning here. There's that's Fort Worth, and Fort Worth over here. So we'll continue our climb, and I'll see you when something happens. So yeah. All right, we're coming up on another major event here. We are passing the United States transition altitude for, at least defined by the FAA. So that is 18,000 feet with flight level 180. So you can see our indicator became yellow because we have to change our altimeter. There we go. So that is that. Yeah, next time I'll be seeing you guys. Whoa, look at that. Clouds are pretty cool here. Yeah, you see, flying with a flight sim allows you to really experience some pretty interesting things. I mean, honestly, even though flight gear ain't like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 or something like that, it does a pretty good job emulating the weather. And, you know, it's pretty good if you have a budget machine that doesn't have, you know, like a 4090 or something like that. But next time we will meet will be cruising altitude time. Here we go. Alright everyone, as we're approaching our initial cruising altitude of flight level 320, you'll see that the airspeed will start rising because we won't need to climb anymore. So, as I mentioned earlier, that's actually very good for passengers, because if you're in economy and you're sitting for like 13 to 14 hours in, you know, that cramped seat with like zero leg room, Would you want to stay there for possibly less time? I think most people will say yes. So that's why, as this is rising, we will go a bit faster than what's allowed. So you'll see what I mean later, but this will definitely help impact our arrival time, and it will help a lot because I did some testing. If I flew at the normal cruising speed, which is for the 777, is I think 0.84 Mach, and that's all safe and stuff, but that's nerd talk. We can go way higher than that, and we could be, faster. I've cut down arrival times by 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours. So you know, we here can arrive normally. It takes about 13 hours for this flight. So I'm shooting for about 11 hours. So currently we're 24 minutes in, again, by that little stopwatch timer here. But let's see what happens when we go a bit over speed. So you can see that little red tape, that's overspeed. So we'll hit that in a little while, but I'll show you what happens when there's actually an overspeed. All right, we're approaching that speed limit right there. But I actually did some research on my other uh, computer, which states that a non-stop flight. Now, first of all, there isn't a non-stop flight between Dallas and Osaka, so that's out of the question. But there is a non-stop flight between Dallas and Tokyo, and that takes 13 hours and 30 minutes. So that's non-stop flight. Now Osaka is a bit farther than Tokyo, so I would round up to 14 hours if there were to be a non-stop flight. We could probably do it in 11. So that's cutting down on. Oh, there we go. Let's first of all, let's just mute that warning. That's what I do usually. I just mute a warning, and just let it sit there. I mean, time is money, right? So, uh, yeah. So we could save potentially up to 3 hours on today's travel time, which is a benefit to everybody involved. And considering there's no FAA, no ATC, the traffic is going like bonkers, taxiing on an active runway, colliding into each other. I consider this to be a very, very efficient form of transportation. So I think the passengers should, nominate me for the pilot of the year for saving them 3 hours up to travel time. Although Mother Nature is also helping us. We're having 38 not tailwind, sort of. I guess if you do the like scalar projection or whatever, it's less than that. Or I guess a vector projection. I don't know. Check out my other video for that. But yeah, it's pretty much a smooth sailing from here. I'll let you guys know if anything weird happens. But each time I update, I will do a few update check-ins. But I'm gonna see. We will advance our little clock here, so yeah. But pretty much I'll just be doing other stuff around the house as this is going. But that's the beauty of flight sim. No, uh, no need to attend to it all the time. Just keep an eye on it, and I think people have slept through an overnight flight, woke up, and landed the plane. So, yeah, that's about it for now. We're currently in Oklahoma, so yeah, we're in Oklahoma. Let's try to get out of there as fast as possible. All right, update one, guys. So, as you can see from our handy dandy little stopwatch here, we are 1 hour and 8 minutes into the flight. And we are passing through a major city out in the west here of the United States, and that is Denver. So just to our, wow, that is a big chunk of land. I did not realize Denver was this big, but all around us, you can see to our right is Denver, and what's interesting is to our left, you can start to see the Rocky Mountains start to form. So yeah, look at that. That is pretty cool terrain generation right there. Um, yeah, so we'll just continue on cruising, and who knows when I'll check in next time. But currently 1 hour and 9 minutes into the flight, still got 10 more hours to go. Uh, but again, with our overspeed indicator, probably save 3 hours, and you can spend 3 hours doing a lot of things, including uh, taking another flight somewhere else. So yeah. All right, everybody. Update two from the flight deck. We are currently 2 hours and 49 minutes into the flight, and just under those clouds. Let me see if I can get an external view. But there is um it's hard to see, but there is a city down there, and that is Vancouver, Canada. So we have reached our second country. There are pretty beautiful mountains below us, all around us actually. And yeah, so that is Vancouver, Canada. And uh, let me actually go through this flight information panel. So we're gonna go to pilot utilities and GPS position. So you can see our current position is yeah around the Vancouver area. We'll be flying over Vancouver Island, and then we'll meet the mighty Pacific, which means the next time we'll see land will be in Alaska. So we'll check in there. But currently we are going at point Mach 9.925. So you can see that's almost point 0.1 faster than the prescribed 0.84 Mach. So we're actually probably gonna arrive uh just like the whole flight time. We're probably gonna be uh 4.5 hours faster than the 14 hours, which is the real life flight time. So yeah, pretty good stuff if you fly just a bit over speed. And I'm sure the passengers will appreciate that. But yep, 2 hours and 15 minutes in, we still have, oh, I don't know, about 7.5 hours to go. Um, and yeah, we'll check in once we reach Alaska. Alright, in update number 3 from the flight deck, we are about 5 hours and 7 minutes into the flight. We have just hit mainland Alaska, so you can see down here. We're not quite at the Aleutian Islands yet. It extends just about 100 miles to our east, but we're currently in that little arm that sticks out of Alaska into the Pacific, so you can see right there. But yeah, we'll so yeah, I guess those mountains are just Alaskan mountains. So let's actually look at the external view. We have some ships, cargo ships going on down here, which is pretty cool. We have, yeah, that's Alaska for you. Just all over the place. We have mountains, islands, and just ocean. So yeah, update number 3, just checking in. Yes, this again is real time. Um, the 5 hour 8 minutes have actually elapsed. However, it doesn't have to be all boring like a Mr. Beast counting to 10,000 challenge, because again, you can do other stuff while flying in this thing. So what I do normally, let's take a look at a day in the life. Well, when I'm cruising on these long flights, I normally, if there's scenery out there, I would just look at the scenery, because, check out some places I might otherwise can't go due to financial or other real life reasons. But, virtually, I could be there checking out the mountains of Alaska. But if it's just plain ocean, which it has been for the past like 2 hours, I just watch YouTube and just do other stuff. Occasionally, I'll check on a few things. For example, I'll check on our speed, I'll check on our altitude, obviously, and I'll check on our wind conditions and our ground speed. So I just want to get a good idea of how far we're going and how much progress we're making. So that's what we're going to be doing. And finally, I'll be checking my fuel indicator just to make sure that it isn't abnormally leaking or anything like that. But yeah, that's just pretty much everything I do. Other than that, I just sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. I mean, so far, I think we're about halfway done, so looks like 5 more hours to go, and then we will be in Osaka. All right, last check-in here on this epic flight here. We're about 9 hours and 30 minutes into this flight, and look at the land in front of us and the mountains, and you'll see that we have indeed arrived at the Japan, kind of like central main island. And yeah, so looking at that GPS location, we are basically entering Japan, and we have about 50 minutes left, I would say. And we will begin our descent about 20 minutes before the initial approach fix. So stay tuned for that. Take a look at this view. Here is the Japanese coastline. And there's some pretty hilly terrain once we move further inland, but we will be going further south, hence why we still have 15 minutes left. But yeah, I mean, the terrain and the scenery looks absolutely wonderful, but yeah, I've been seeing what's behind us for the past 4 or 5 hours. It's just an ocean. But finally glad to see some land. Now I want to show you guys what I'm going to do when I prepare for our top of descent. Because uh, going down to our pilot utilities, I want to go to our descent rate calculator. So currently we are at flight level 320. So we're going to select that and we're going to type 320. And our target flight level, so after the descent, since there's no ATC to control that, we're just going to go down to the initial approach fix. So that would be 4,000 feet. So 4,000 feet, which is just 40 for the flight level. So 40. And then our initial ground speed, let's take a look at that, 565 knots. Wow, that is fast. Anyways, so we're going to type that 565. And our target ground speed will be 200. And then our distance, our top of descent, will be 90. So 90. And our computed descent rate is negative 1983 feet per minute. So just about negative 2,000 feet per minute. So we're just gonna remember that for later when we actually need to descend. And alright guys, we are just shy of 100 nautical miles from the initial approach fix. So what we're going to do is we're going to prepare for the top of descent. So first we're going to lower our altitude to 4,000 feet. That will be our bottom of the set. So just set that to 4,000 feet. And then next, as this approaches 90, because that's what we set in our calculator over there, we are going to start lowering the vertical speed. So there we go. We are getting close to 90, and let's ease in the vertical speed. So we'll give it 1,000 there, and then negative 2,000. Let it smooth out first, so it's going to trim out. And you'll see our airspeed is steadily rising, and obviously we don't want that. So here's my way of reducing our throttle. We're gonna stabilize the airspeed first. So I'm gonna start dropping down the throttle just a bit so it doesn't continue to climb. So there we go. It's kind of like frozen in time. Now you want to slowly inch your throttle downwards so that it smoothly decreases and decelerates. So it's a little bit slow, so let's just pull it back a little bit more. So we'll just give it just 10 more, and then you see a green arrow, a green down arrow start to approach. So you can see now it's really going with the descent and the deceleration. So we're going to just let that go, and then we're going to give it a little bit more so that the arrow kind of whirls again. And the arrow is a vector which is directly proportional its length to the deceleration amount. So right now, not that bad, but we can do a little bit better. So we'll just go downwards a little bit more, you can see it's steadily dropping, but it's not like flying downwards. So your passengers will, spill their drinks if they start to descend. And this is a nice rate of descent. Just the numbers ticking down, that is a fine rate of descent. And you can see we already lost our overspeed status, but that doesn't matter. We've already saved almost 4 hours, 3.5 hours if we're going by the 14-hour metric. But we're going to slow down just a bit more all the way until we're idle. So before we're going idle, we're going to look at this speed indicator, because we're going to reduce that all the way down to 250 for now, because we even though I already violated the 250 before 10,000 on our climb up, we would like to abide by that on the way down. So we're gonna go down a little bit more, and now we're even below 300 knots. So we're just gonna continue going down, and we're just go idle. So there we go. That's idle. Once it's idle, we're gonna arm our auto throttle and let auto throttle do its work. And on the way down, I'll see you once we arrive at our transition altitude. Alright, and as we're approaching 18,000 feet, or 180, we're going to have to transition back to the local altimeter. So let's go out of the external view. You can see the Osaka metropolitan area, this whole big sea of buildings and concrete and everywhere, but that lets you know we're getting close to the airport. In fact, the airport's just in the horizon. But we have dipped under 18,000 feet, so we'll have to go back to our setting. But we do need to use the local altimeter, because this is our Dallas-Fort Worth altimeter. So we'll have to switch over to the metric system. So that would be, I believe, if I'm looking at the charts correctly, for the local one, I believe it's 1006, so 1006 HPA for Osaka, the Osaka region. But let me just confirm that 1 second here. As let me try to find it, and it will pop up once. Yeah, 1006. That would be our altimeter setting going downwards. But yeah, next time I guess I'll see you guys. Oh, also one more thing. Let's try to reduce our speed to 200 knots now. So we're gonna slow down, and yeah, because kind of approaching pretty quickly right now. We'll drop flaps after 10,000, but I'll see you then. And as we approach 10,000 feet, we do have the airport in sight to our 1 o'clock position. Let me zoom out so you guys can see better. There it is, Kansai International, infamous floating airport. Interesting history if you read up on it, about how they built this. But we are approaching 10,000. Hopefully our fasten seatbelt signs will come up, and there we go. And we'll turn on landing lights on. Now, landing, there's going to be a lot of things going on all at once. So I want to record that process, because they say takeoff is a procedure, which we accomplished, but landing is a form of art. How you flare, how you touch down, how everything gets executed. It's pretty neat to see if you do it correctly. So hopefully I won't make any stupid mistakes and deliver this landing. So first things first, since we're below 10,000 and our correct airspeed, we'll drop our first notch of flaps. Just zoom out and admire the view, because why not? So here's how it's gonna go down. We're going to hook 180. Right now we're on downwind, so we're gonna turn right for base, and then we'll be on final for I believe runway 24 left, I think. Let me just see. Oh, 06 right. Actually, I got my heading's confused, I think. Yeah, so 06 right. Anyways, so that, wherever that runway is, we'll be landing this way. So we'll be down there in just a few, I guess. So we're descending through 7,200 feet, continuing monitoring how everything's going. We currently have 15 knots. 15 nautical miles. We can definitely ease up on our descent rate. So I'm gonna move down to about 1,000 FPM there, just to let our airspeed relax a little bit. So once we dip down below 230, we're going to drop our second natural flaps. So there we go. Second natural flaps. This is how I like to do it. I know there's no one correct way. There's probably, a bunch of ways you can land a plane, but currently that's how it's going down. So we're continuing on downwind. You can see on our panel here what's about to happen. We're going to turn right for base, and then we'll arrive at final about 12 nautical miles out, and then we'll hit the glide slope about 6 nautical miles out. But anyways, we're getting pretty close to that 4,000 altitude, but we're just gonna continue legging it. You can see all throttles working pretty well. It's doing all that by itself. Now, I landed this plane before on this channel by showcasing the auto land feature, but I feel like that's kind of cheating because, that was a kind of like Cat 3 storm situation where you don't want to see nothing and land blindly. But if we do have good visibility, which I think we do on this day, I'm going to go in full visual, so I'm not going to use the iOS approach at all. I just want to, land full visual, just to complete this one hell of a trip. But yeah, so we're approaching our final altitude pretty good, and then we'll descend again once we hit the initial approach phase. Alright, we have reached our final, initial approach altitude, and also we have reached 200 knots, so that means we'll have to drop our third notch of flaps, so we're down to 15 degrees now. We're getting pretty close to the initial approach phase. Now, I know you have to, well, not necessarily, but most people will have to do this on final, but I'll get all this out of the way because I know I'll forget something, just like how I forgot to deploy flaps on takeoff. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to arm our speed brakes. There we go, that's that turn for base there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the altitude again, but this time we'll set our vertical speed to negative 1,000 FPM. So that's what's going on, but continuing forward, what we're going to do is okay, so speed brake is armed, and we'll turn on taxiing lights, and our runway turn off lights. So just get all of those out of the way so we don't have to worry about too much on final, because if you thought descent was complicated, final is where everything comes together, especially short final. So, look at that, we do have some traffic. Hopefully it won't be as brain dead as before. Actually, I think traffic's also landing on 06 right, so that would be pretty interesting to see a approach sequence happening. These never go well. We might have to do a rejected landing. Well, I'm not even missed approach, basically. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Anyways, it gets okay. So now we're going to drop our airspeed up not too far. Yeah, we're just shy of 170. Also because I don't want to get too close to that aircraft in front of us. So let's see what happens. Hopefully he gets his butt out of the runway before we touch down, because AI traffic in flight here likes to taxi to the very end of the runway for some reason instead of using the high-speed exits.
25.
Actually, we're turning. I don't think that's approach traffic. That's good. Yeah, we are turning this way. He is going that way. But yeah, so far so good. You can see the localizer coming in. We're not going to use the localizer today. We're going to do pure manual today, with the exception of auto throttle helping us out. And alright, let's drop another notch of flaps. There we go. We're at 20 degrees now. And I think since we are on final now, let's turn on our heads-up display, just so you guys can see everything that's going on, including my flight controls, which can't be seen down here because the viewport's blocking it. There we go. Localizer is sort of in the circuit. We are pretty much on the dot. Once the glide slope comes alive, we're going to drop landing gear. So that's what this diamond just appears. Go watch my other video if you want a full tutorial on iOS landing. But sorry, I just had a revelation. That aircraft is probably going to the domestic Osaka airport because Kansai they built the new one. Anyways, go watch my other video if you want a full iOS tutorial. But for now, we will carry forward. There we go. Glide slope on live. Landing gear drop. We'll drop another notch of flaps just right before we take out autopilot. Actually, that aircraft is going to Kansai. I thought my measurements were out of place. It's just landing on the parallel, which is good for us since we don't have to compete with that runway. But okay, now we're going to drop just a tad bit above VREF. I would say 139, 140, and finally we will take off autopilot. So we are full manual. We are full, and we gotta change that glide slope a bit far. In fact, we're a bit high, so we're gonna drop down just a little bit. We're gonna drop our final notch of flaps, so we are full flaps. Okay, we have just approached VREF, and we do have a pretty nice visual of the runway. So, we're going to just shimmy around a little bit. Subtle movements, don't want anything bad to happen. But we are a bit high still, so we're just gonna drop down a bit more. And probably for the last 1,000 feet, I'm probably going to go stereo cockpit because I want to concentrate and not screw this up. Here we go. Alright, we got our glide slope back. Hopefully let's maintain it. Alright, there we go. That's that 1,000 feet. I'm gonna go silent now.
Minimums.
Continuing.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
And touchdown. 2 in reverse. not disengage. And oh my goodness, we have done it. Actually, before we celebrate too early, let us take out our speed brakes and take out our flaps. So we're gonna take this high-speed exit to our left here. And yeah, I guess welcome to Kansai International. Local time is... Oh, that is a pretty badly designed taxiway. Let's just try to squeeze ourselves through here. I see grass showing, so I don't want to go there. But anyways, local time is 8:37 a.m. So if you look at our clock, we've done this whole trip in 10 hours and 37 minutes, which means we saved almost 3 hours and 30 minutes off the real life flight time. So I would say that's pretty good. Alright, let's stop here for some after landing checks. So first, we gotta get that landing light off. So turn that off. Strobe light also off. What else? Come on, think. Oh, okay. APU, we'll start our APU. And then we'll start our APU gen as well. And we will set our transponder back. And then, what else? Let's see, runway turn off lights. Yes, that needs to be off. And, taxi lights are on. I think that is it. Let's continue. Alright, we'll just give it a little push. Just like that. Oh, and also one more thing, just forgot on the way down. Turn off our auto throttle arm switches. We don't want V1 rotate into the terminal building. But hopefully, I mean the terminal's right there, so not a long taxi time. Unlike what happened at Dallas, there's no traffic on this side of the ramp, so that's good. Unless we meet that other guy who just landed on 06 left. But terminal building right in front of us. Yeah, so we're just gonna have like an open area, and we will park this. So this, by the way, is the longest continuous terminal building in the entire world. So I think it's a mile long. We can find plenty of space there. Alright, we are approaching the end. So let me slow down just a second. Now there will be marshals and gates and whatnot, but it's pretty simple design, you know. It's an open source software. You can't expect much cargo ship going on here. But anyways, as we're turning in, we're gonna close our taxi lights. And finally, we will turn into the gate. So let's see what gate this is. We're gonna go with gate 23. Why not? There's nobody else here. Alright. Here we go. Just a nice and wide turning into our final gate. Now there's no marshals again. Nothing like that, so we gotta be careful not to hit the building. That would be possibly the worst mistake that I would. And we can give it a little bit more, just nudge. Alright, we're in line. Send that back to neutral, and then finally we can turn this off. We'll just look. It's about right. I think we're good. So we'll turn seatbelts off and fuel cut off. Alright, we are done. But not yet. We have to secure the aircraft, so stay tuned for that. First, we will have to turn the smoking off. Do whatever we want now, I don't care. Smoke. We're done with the flight. And we're gonna set our transponder to standby mode. Alright, passengers are unloading. We're gonna turn our beacon and nav lights off. We're done with that. Also, we're going to turn all the fuel pumps off. We are also done with that. So, left, right, center, Sender's already up. All right. Let's see. Our hydraulics all shut off. Off, off, off you go. And finally, well, not finally, but anti-ice. Yes, anti-ice off. And keep on saying finally. We still have a lot to do. Window keep. Side, forward, all of that off. Emergency lights. We will also turn that off. That's on. Turn that off. And let's see what else. I'm looking at the checklist here. Oh, left and right pack. APU off. And finally, we will. This is really finally now. We will close our flight, and we will turn battery off, and we are done. Cold and dark, just like how we started. All right, I'll meet you outside. And there you have it, guys. Safely on the ground at Kansai International in Osaka, Japan. Now, I do have some statistics about this flight. As you saw on the program clock, uh, we have a total wheels up to wheels down time. So total air time is 10 hours and 37 minutes, which again is 3 hours and 23 minutes, assuming the 14-hour flight. But we stayed 3 hours and 23 minutes. Yeah. So that's pretty wild, considering just a little small price to pay for some overspeed warnings. Uh, our total distance traveled, and that's a pretty cool one. Probably one of the longest actually I've done on the 777, 6,680 miles. So for your metric folks out there, that is 11,356 kilometers. So that is our total distance traveled today. But yeah, so that will be it for today's flight. This is honestly pretty cool considering what we could do in the flight sim network. I don't think there's a, again, direct connection between Dallas and Osaka, but you know, with our virtual flight, we could make that happen and just test things out. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. This took me absolutely forever, 10 hours and 40 minutes plus whatever time I spent preparing for this recording. So it will mean a lot to me. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!